You're listening to WCCI and WCCIRadio.com. Brian Reusch with you, and as promised, we have caught up with Russ Kendrick Martin. We're going to talk to him here and learn a little bit about his performance style, talk about his most recent release, and eventually hear one of his songs as well. And Russ, first and foremost, we really appreciate you giving us a call here this afternoon. And I was going to kind of describe your style of music, but I think that might be best left to you because you've kind of taken a number of different styles of music and woven them into a winning formula.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me on. I guess I would call it alternative country. I grew up listening to rock and roll and country rock as a kid, and then I was influenced by the music that my parents brought in. My mom was a gospel singer, actually a successful gospel singer back in the 60s and 70s. And then my dad, he brought the country influence. You know, he was a big fan of the Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash and Roger Miller. So I kind of mixed that with my influences. And then at one point, I had a big band and jazz radio show, because that's another type of music that I'm into. So I kind of try to blend that in there a little bit, too.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to lately. Of course, you're not from that far away, southern Michigan, and obviously you can relate to us here in the Midwest, being a Midwesterner yourself, and I'm guessing that probably impacts some of your songwriting, and especially the people around here can relate to many of the topics that you write about.
Yeah, being from southern Michigan, I've kind of grown up in the small towns here. Actually, I'm right in the area where Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio come together. So, I mean, we do our shopping, my wife and I, in Indiana or Ohio or right here in southern Michigan. And most of what I write it's relatable, I guess, across the board. But a lot of my influences are from right here in the Midwest. I try to just be who I am. You know, I've been a farmhand. I've been a trucker. I've had the blue collar jobs over the years, and I kind of know where people are coming from. And as a songwriter, I try to just kind of melt that into my song.
Well, and obviously you're an artist, but as you told me, you really take pride in being a songwriter. And how long have you been writing songs? What was the earliest song that you wrote, and where do you get a lot of your inspiration?
Well, the first song that I wrote, I guess, would have been probably about 20 years ago. I played guitar for a while, played in some cover bands, and I guess one night I just realized, it would be nice to have some original material, just because the cover bands don't make it anywhere most of the time. Usually, if you want to go somewhere, you've got to kind of go on your own material. So probably 22 years ago, I wrote my first song. And I guess as my songwriting has progressed, and as it got the song on the radio here, or as I get a response to it out in the live show, it kind of feeds the need to write more songs. Most of my songs come from a need to write a particular song. If there's a certain feeling that I'm kind of looking for, if there's something that I'm craving, feeling wise, I want to write a song that makes me feel that way. And if I can do that successfully, usually I end up with a song that feels successful to me.
We are visiting today with Russ Kendrick Martin. He is an alternative country rocker, and we're going to hear some of his work coming up here on WCCI. But you talk about performing, and we talked a little bit in prepping for the interview about the fact that most artists that you talk to, they would love to play a sold-out, basketball arena, but some of those rooms where you have intimate eye contact and interaction with your fans, those are probably some of the best nights where you go, wow, I get paid for doing this because this is, more like a labor of love.
I have played some bigger rooms over the years, but to be totally honest with you, Brian, it's exactly that way. When you play a small room, it's like you're having contact with every person in that room. Anyone that's interested in what I'm doing in that room, there's an interaction between me and that person. And sometimes it's in individuals, in groups. Last weekend I played a small club in Coldwater, Michigan, and it was a nice crowd, but there was one particular group that came in from a wedding reception, and they just they had fun heckling me a little bit, and I was heckling back, and when I say heckling, they were being very nice about it. It wasn't like they were trying to embarrass me. They were actually just having fun with what I was doing, and it was like we were having a party together. And I did, at the time, I didn't know these people. Well, since then, I've gotten likes on my Facebook page. I've got their email addresses now to send for when I'm going to be playing, and a couple of them have sent friend requests, and I've accepted on Facebook. So now I've got all these new friends that I made, and a lot of it is because I was able to have that eye contact with them. And when you tell the story of a song, if there's a particular song that has a good story behind it, I like to tell that story before I play the song or immediately afterward. And that really gets people interested in the song, so they kind of become invested in what I'm doing, and it's easier to do that, I guess, in a smaller venue. And there's so many small venues around the country that a person could play just about anywhere, in just about any town, find a setting like that.
Well, and you mentioned something kind of interesting there. Obviously, it's not like the old days where we went down to the Five and Dime and picked up a wax version of the latest hits or whatever. With social media, with the internet, there are so many ways that fans can reach out to their favorite artists and vice versa. And I'm sure that's a great way, as you told me, in prepping for this. Hey, it's how you set up your gigs. It's how you, find out, what's coming up on, your favorite artist's website. I mean, you can tell people where you're going to be, and then they can follow, when the shows are lined up. It's amazing how you're able to interact with fans so easily with the various aspects of social media and with, websites and such. And I'm sure that you've really taken advantage of that opportunity.
Well, one of the things that technology has done, one of the beauty of digital technology, I guess a couple of things that it's done. First, it's made recording music a lot less of a hassle. It's less expensive to do it now, and it's made connecting with fans a lot easier. And it's taken the middleman out of the equation. There have been acts that I've heard over the years where I love their music, but they're so difficult to find. You can't. It's difficult to find a record or a CD of this person, and you wonder why they don't have a record deal and why they're not famous and why they're not all over the radio. Well, now the popularity, I guess, is in the hands of the fans. It always has been kind of, but now a guy like myself can put out a record, and if I get out there and promote it, if I do my work and I do my homework and I reach the audience and they like what I'm doing, they'll respond. And that album's going to make sales.
Well, and how can people interact with you? What are some of the best ways to find out about your music? And if you would share like your website address and some of the different versions of social media that you subscribe to and participate in.
Well, the best way to contact me is through my website, russkendrickmartin.com. There's a page on there where you can sign up for email. And I'll be sending out, I send out at least a monthly email, but sometimes more than that, especially if there's a special show added or if I'm going to be in a certain area. Send me a request on Facebook, Russ Kendrick Martin. I have a Facebook page that's a band page that you can like, but the problem that I have with that now is that it's gotten to the point now where you've got to pay a little bit more to get the word out. If I put a post on my Facebook page, it's less likely to make it to everyone that liked it. I've got to promote it, I guess. And as that's what Facebook asks for. But if you send a like, if you just like or send a friend request, I'll respond to that. I'm on Instagram, Russ Kendrick Martin. I've got a Tumblr page too. But the best way to reach me is through the website, russkendrickmartin.com, and sign up for the email list. If you've got a question or if you want to contact me or if you're looking to book, you can do that through the website. Also, between now and July 31st, anyone that signs up for the page that goes to the email address, if you sign up for my email list, you're eligible to win a free house concert. So we're going to be doing that for anybody within 400 miles, and that actually puts your area right into that area. So somebody's going to win a free house concert, and once you're signed up for life for T-shirt giveaways. We give away a T-shirt once a month. And even though the album is available on iTunes and Amazon and those places, Google Play, we also have physical copies, so we're giving those away through the email as well.
Yeah, in closing, let's talk a little bit about the album, which came out back in February, your debut solo album, Carburetor, and also we're going to talk about a song that we're going to play coming up as well. But first, let's talk about the album and maybe the reception that it has received.
Well, the album came about, I released that back at the end of February. That came about, I was playing a club here in Hillsdale, Michigan, and I played I always put original songs into my set. The club owner said, "Hey, you've got to put out an album. What can I do to help you with that?" And I actually got a lot of response from folks to my original. So we figured out, we got into the studio, we put the album together, and the reception to it has been really good. We're getting a lot of response to the album on iTunes and Google Play and Amazon. You can also stream it on Spotify and any of the other music streaming services. It's available on SoundCloud, on my website. There's a page for the album as well. But the reception to it has been, it's been surprising to me. I thought it would take a bit longer to build up some momentum, but it really has kind of taken off. It's taken on a life of its own.
Well, that sounds great, and I know you've got a tour of the Midwest coming up early on here. You're going to be kind of over on the eastern side of things, but eventually you'll get out this way, so if you make it to Freeport or Rockford or nearby, we certainly want to visit with you again and maybe catch up with you in person. We're going to be hearing We've All Got Our Problems coming up, so we'll ask you about that. But in closing, any final thoughts here that you'd like to share with our listeners today, Russ?
Actually, Brian, I'd just like to thank you for taking the time and doing this interview today. I am looking forward to touring out in your neck of the woods in early fall. We're working on booking that right now, and I will definitely get back a hold of you at the time. And if folks want to check out the website, RussKendrickMartin.com, send me a Facebook request. Check us out on the Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. Any comments at all? And I appreciate you taking the time, Brian.
Well, Russ, you're certainly welcome, and we're going to hear We've All Got Our Problems. Obviously, that relates to pretty much all of us because we do have that. Talk a little bit about that song before we debut it here.
Well, it's a little bit of a philosophical number. I don't usually get political, but I do sometimes try to get philosophical. I think I was feeling down one day, and I felt myself just kind of being a bit grumpy about all the little problems that I have in my life. There's certainly nothing that I should fret too much about. And then you think about other people out there who have their problems are much worse. They're facing bigger challenges. I even have family and friends who, when I think about what they're facing compared to what I'm facing, I feel really bad about complaining. So that's kind of where the song was born. Before you start complaining, maybe take a look around and see how your problems stack up to somebody else's.
Well, Russ, it's been a real pleasure today. Thank you again for your time. We're going to hear the song next and come back as things get finalized on your tour dates in the area and join us again. And we wish you the very best and have really enjoyed working with you today.
Thanks a lot, Brian. I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you here very soon.
And again, thank you so much to Russ Kendrick Martin, our guest today. Before we close here, let's hear his song, We've All Got Our Problems, right here on WCCI and WCCIRadio.com.
Betty gets stoned on gasoline fumes. Guess she peaked just a little too soon. $4 a gallon, there goes her Harvard degree. And Joey took off for the Hollywood lights. We all figured he'd make it all right. Now he's working nights at a cafe outside Tulsa. And what about Jerry, man who knew? Last week I saw him on the evening news. He had a hostage and a big long list of demands. And Tammy swears she was abducted one day by a man from a galaxy far, far away. Told her that he loved her, now she's carrying his love alien. Well, the moral of the story it's as old as the world. Don't get your panties twisted up in a twirl, 'cause you know as well as I do, we've all got our problems. The truck won't start and the mortgage is due. To tell you the truth, I'm pretty much screwed. So are most of you. We've all got our problems. The old king said to his right-hand man, "Man, you're standing on my right hand." Now the old king is dead, long live the status quo. I once knew a man with no part to miss. He lived without any of that or this. Strangely enough, he seemed to be okay. Well, the gist of this tale, it's a simple affair. Pretend to listen, pretend to care, but in the end, we've all got our problems. It may be money or wandering eye. You'll probably live, but maybe you'll die. So it goes. We've all got our problems. If China's a mother and Iran's got a nuke, to tell you the truth, we're all pretty much screwed. Case of Ross the Rock.